Shopping online for the holidays. I'm Doug Sokolowski, the account manager for Lamb Tech. Before we get started, we do have a couple of housekeeping items to review. Everybody is muted, so there's no background noise. There is a Q&A window that is available for use for any questions or comments that you may have. In addition to introducing our guest, I will serve as a moderator and will also be posing questions or comments that we receive. There'll also be time available after the webinar to ask questions, and we'll either answer them during the webinar or set up a time to answer your specific questions. We do not have a poll this morning, but we like to see your questions or thoughts. Contact information will be provided at the end of the webinar for you to get in touch with us at Lamb Tech. In addition to our live webinar, we'll provide a link to the recording should you want to review what you learned today, or even want to share your knowledge with another person in your organization, or even want to show someone that you may refer Lamb Tech to, which we're appreciative of. Well, without any further housekeeping items, let's go ahead and get started here today. Again, good morning. For those that joined us just a minute or two late, I'm Doug Sokolowski, the account manager for Lamb Tech. We welcome you and thank you for your time on today's webinar. Give you a little bit of history and information about Lamb Tech. We were founded by Robert Lamb in 1999 in Sedalia, Missouri. Robert still serves as our owner today, and we'll be hearing from him as well later. We provide managed services for businesses and organizations with our core coverage area stretching between Kansas City and Columbia and then Brunswick to Springfield. But we do want to note that we service several other states and regions and all kinds of small business platforms. Lamb Tech aligns IT solutions with your growth initiatives. Our goal is to take care of your technology so you can focus on your day-to-day business and stop expanding your problems. We offer managed services to maintain your security, help desk support, consulting, as well as data recovery and backup services. Now, one other note before we introduce our speaker, for those that are joining us today that are current clients of Lamb Tech, we do appreciate your partnership and believe you'll learn a lot here today. We'll learn more about protecting your business and how we assist with that. And if you have questions on what you learned today and how it works with your specific agreement, feel free to reach out to our team after the webinar is complete today. Some of you may have joined us for our webinars in the past. We appreciate your interest in learning more to improve and enhance your business strategy. Last couple of webinars, we've talked to all kinds of things from security to backup to business continuity to just our normal services that we offer. But with a lot of things in the frame of mind, when we're recording this, it is the month of November, so that means holidays might be top of your mind. And we're going to talk about that today. We'll not only talk about tips pertaining to shopping online, which could greatly impact your business, but we'll hear more about that here this morning with our owner and CEO of Lamb Tech, Robert Lamb. Good morning, Robert. And I guess we could say officially happy holidays.
I think it's safe to do that, Doug. I took a little bit of a jump and thought maybe I might beat the stores and play a little Christmas music in the background in the lobby while everyone was waiting. This webinar is going to be just slightly different in that while we at Lamb Tech take security and networking in our work serious, we do have a little bit of fun too. And this time of year is always kind of a little bit fun for so many of us around here that are kind of gadget guys and techs by heart, that we always get excited when we see new things out. And oftentimes this year is a little different, but we get in a social area or something and people start asking questions about what do we think about this gadget or that gadget. And so I thought that this would be kind of a fun way to share with you some of the things that we've seen and myself personally and that I use on some of the gifts and gift ideas that are out there. But then we're going to segue into when you go to buy those gifts, whether it's the ones we talk about today or any of the others that you buy online, there's certain things you probably want to watch for. And so we're gonna use that kind of as a tie-in, so we can't say we're just having fun, but basically giving you some ideas on what to shop for, how to shop, things to look out for, But then also, how do you manage activities when, we're all so busy, and a lot of us find ourselves and our staff trying to do a little online shopping at work, and how can we try to keep from causing any issues there. But before we get into that, let's jump in, and excuse me, I've got a cough. Let's jump in and talk about some gift ideas. So, a lot of people in among our friends, and especially around here, are iPod, Apple fanatics, I guess. And so, they're really big on earphones. And of course, a lot of people who are on the go, whether they're jogging, traveling, sitting at home, they're sitting around, and they're wanting to be able to listen to music or TV. And especially now, with so many people having to share living spaces for extended amount of times, oftentimes these little earbuds come in handy. Now, of course, you can get the wired earbuds still, and those are still a very inexpensive option. But Bluetooth earbuds have just been, over the years, really grown in features, in quality and endurance. Speaking in terms of endurance, I'm speaking in terms of battery life. So I chose two earbuds that are kind of, one is one that I use, which is the Jabra earbuds. And of course, Apple AirPods are kind of at one point in time, they were considered the Cadillac of earbuds, because of the just incredible functionality and the sound and everything else. But like everything else in technology, the challengers have come out of the woodworks to compete. And I think a really good competitor is the Jabra Bluetooth earbuds. I purchased the 65Ts about 2 years ago, and I travel a lot, and so I was looking for something that I could wear on the plane if I wasn't wearing like Bose noise canceling headsets. But also, what I was looking for was something that I could wear when I'm out mowing my yard. And I discovered, I started using the 65Ts basically when I was doing business travel. And one day I was going to mow my yard, and I've got a pretty big yard, so I'm usually about 5 hours, but by the time I do everything. And I discovered that the 65Ts were great, and they fit in your ear comfortably. They've got a battery life that's very, very long. I mean, I probably have about 8 to 10 hours of battery life on it. I usually wear out before my batteries do. And they just work real well. And what I like about them is that they will pair up with not only Apple devices, but Android devices. Even have paired them up with my HP laptop computer. So there's a great deal of depth in that product. Now, there's a new version of it. There's actually a couple new. What I'm providing is an example of the low end of the scale, which is $82. The newer 85T is a big competitor against the AirPod Pros, which they have the microphones on the outside to provide noise canceling capability. And they've gotten some pretty high ratings and are being shown as competitors to the AirPods. You can see there's only about a $20 difference. So if you want to pay that extra $20 because it's Apple, hey, that's great. But it just gives you a pretty good idea of what you have to work with. Now, one thing that you want to watch for when you're doing shopping for these kind of consumer electronics is that there's a lot of products out there that are kind of knockoffs or imitations, especially for the AirPods. And obviously they're a lot cheaper, but and that in and of itself isn't terribly bad. But usually the people who are selling these, there may not be as secure to buy from. Just depend. I mean, if you buy them on Amazon, that's one thing. But if you start going kind of outside of that routine or normal area of online shopping, you'll find that many of these vendors, one of them that I've noticed that's been pretty prominent is called I believe it's called Banggood, Bangood. And it's basically a Chinese company, but they've got, if you start looking at it, it's incredibly inexpensive to even just cheap. So, it's interesting. I purchased a, a, uh, a varmint ultrasonic device to repel like rabbits and squirrels from gardens. I bought one on eBay, or excuse me, on Amazon for $30. There was another one very similar to it on an ad that popped up from my Google search engine. And it was very similar to that same product, but this one was $13. And so I thought, yeah, I might give it a try. And so I ordered it. And then during the ordering process, I see that, hey, it's going to either ship from China or I don't remember what the other out of country location was. And so I went ahead and purchased it. And then it did arrive and the product was just fine. But I don't know that you're always going to be that lucky. So you'll want to just use some caution and be sensible when you make those purchases. So we're going to do 3 different ideas today. So if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in. I know this isn't like super techie, and I hope you're not disappointed, but we wanted to have a little fun on this one because everybody has been attending these, and we've really been getting a lot of great feedback, and everybody is really enjoying what we're doing. And I just want to make sure that we're still delivering on our promise of quality, but I wanted to have a little fun too as well. So that's kind of our thing on earbuds. Now, there's a lot of other companies out there. Bose has earbuds, JBL, there's a number of companies out. These were just the 2 that I'm the most familiar with, and that's why I chose them. So our next one is when you don't really want to have something plugged in your ear, but you're wanting to sit out on the back patio or sit by your outdoor fireplace, or you're just on the go. There's 3 different kinds of or categories of these little portable speakers. We'll begin with talking about the JBL Bluetooth speaker. It's a little bit of the lower end, but I got to tell you, the sound is pretty amazing for the price. My son has this Flip 5 or a very similar model to it, and we sat out on his patio, and his wife paired up her phone to it, and actually her phone is an Android phone, and we listened to music all afternoon while he cooked on the grill, and it was great. The things that you like about these features, that's probably about the size of a soda pop can. So it's hard to really kind of show you a scale, but that's about a soda pop can size. You can go up to one that's called the Extreme 2, which is exactly what it means. It's a bunch bigger. This was probably about the size of maybe a little smaller than a normal shoebox, a square shoebox. But it's got a lot of bass and it's got a lot of good sound to it. And once again, you look at battery life, you look at whether you can sit by the pool with it, and whether how well it'll fare with water and dust and things like that. It gets a really high rating as well. So another favorite of mine, pardon me, is the Bose SoundLink Revolve. Now, I personally own this one, and it's just been incredible. My wife and I had a 20th anniversary, went to Hawaii, and so I bought this specifically to take with us when we're sitting on the beach, and I was not disappointed. The sound out of it is amazing. Now, of course, this is one of the first entry levels that Bose had, so there's been a few improvements as far as its ability to handle water and sand and dust and things like that. There's also third-party companies now that make special case and little socks to go over them and everything. But this again is about the size, maybe a little bit bigger than a pop can, probably more of like a bottled water. And you can get a really nice case, throws into carry-on, and it's just incredible. The sound lives up to the Bose name and is absolutely amazing. So those first three that I talked about are really just Bluetooth paired speakers that will hook up to any phone or tablet or something that you have that makes a connection with Bluetooth. So if you want to step it up a notch, then you're starting to get into the smart speakers, and that's where you're going to have a little bit more expense. The Bose portable smart speaker has a nice handle on it. It has the ability to connect wirelessly to different vendors, or excuse me, different audio providers. And so it again will provide you a pretty rich experience. Moving into the portable market is Sonos. Sonos has been long regarded for probably the past, I would say 8 years or more, where they provide a lot of in-house stereo. But what their claim or what their big reputation is for is their sound quality, but also the fact that you can control them with your Android phone, your iOS phones, and you can connect to multiple online music sources where once you set it up, you have your username and your password plugged in for that particular service. And then you can just change channels and listen to the music and stream it. And the beauty of it that you need to remember on smart speakers like the portable smart speaker or Sonos versus the other ones that are Bluetooth, when you walk away, let's say you're carrying your phone, you need to go in the other room to make a phone call, your music goes away too. On these, they set, and once you control them and tell them what station and what your volume level is, that's all you use your phone for. Now you can also pair these up with your Bluetooth, but these have quite a bit more functionality. Sonos has a wide variety of products that are just simply amazing as far as what you're able to do with them. I have a house full of them, and I've been accumulating them over for a number of years, and so I'm a little bit biased when it comes to home audio and what you can do. You can pair all of them together and play the same song throughout your house anywhere you've got them when they're all connected. So it's a pretty neat product. So speaking of your house and being able to control things in your house, another technology that may not be considered emerging, but I believe I would like to call it emerging simply from the standpoint of how easy it is to get into and start using. And Apple has really made a big push into this, but it's something that's been out there, or a feature that's been out there for a long time if you're a do-it-yourselfer, which is home automation. What I'm showing you on the screen right now are my iPhone on the left and my iPad in the center. And essentially, Apple has come up with a feature in their later versions of iOS called HomeKit or Home. And essentially what that does is they've partnered with a lot of vendors who create these smart outlets that you see on the right, and light bulbs, and just a plethora of, I could do a couple hours on the different accessories that they have out there, but they range from thermostats to smart switches and everything. I chose just to talk about smart outlets just because, I don't know about you, but when my wife decorates our house and we have Christmas lights everywhere, I hate crawling behind the couch and around the fireplace where all the garland and everything is to try to turn on lights and turn them off, or for whatever reason I have to get back there. And a few years ago, I purchased a bunch of smart outlets that were controlled by a different home automation product. You've seen them out there, smart things from Samsung called Smart Home. And then there's also Google that has their own automation product. So there's a lot of them out there. And really it just kind of depends on which kind of phone and what you're more familiar with and what you're most comfortable with. But by far, I have found Apple's HomeKit to be the simplest and really somewhat the lesser expensive to get into if you already possess an Apple platform like your phones and your iPads. Interestingly enough, the software is free. The software on your iPhone and your home app, your iPad app, that is actually just a native application that you installed called Home. And these devices, when you buy them, you just need to see that they say they're compatible with Apple HomeKit. Something else that you'll want to watch for is that it does that kit does not require a hub. And you'll notice this top one here, this top icon, it says no hub required. And essentially what that means is once that you have that plug programmed to talk to your phone, which generally is a matter of most of these little devices come with a barcode on them. You hold your iPhone with the camera on, you take a picture of that barcode at the bottom, and the home screen looks that device up and adds it with whatever that feature is, whether it's a plug or a switch or a light bulb, and you're ready to go. That's really kind of all there is to it. Now, you can get very complicated. And of course, me being that gadget guy, I get kind of complicated and have a few more things going, as you can see by the example of my screen. But you can do very simple things to get started with. You can get 2 of these receptacles for 21 bucks, $22. You know, you go and start buying cords, and those little, I like the ones that you can do the push button where you can step on a switch and turn your Christmas lights on and off. But you still have to run around and do it. And of course, if you get lazy, if you have a home screen, all you have to do is have all your lights in here. Then you can actually create either automations or scenes. And for example, right now, it automatically says if lights are on, it'll show you I have 2 lights on. If I want to turn both those lights off at the same time, I touch that right there, turns all the lights off. I can create scenes like outdoor, where I can tell it to turn all my outdoor lights on at one time. So it's very easy to do. And here's another great part. I can tell Siri to turn that light on or off, or run those, and I don't have to do anything but just talk to my phone. So you also have voice built into it now via Siri. So that takes care of you when you're at home. So let's say that you're at work, and they also have garage door openers. They have a variety of different accessories to be able to control anything that is part of your home automation. When you're not at home, you'll require the ability to have a home hub. And the hub is just another feature that is now part of the HomePod, which is kind of is similar to those speakers that we just talked about. If anyone has an Alexa, it's Apple's version of Alexa, but it's really kind of Apple based. And so the HomePod was the first product out there in this category. They just released yesterday. They're taking orders for the HomePod Mini, and for 99 bucks, it is actually a hub as well. So if you have that turned on, and again, Apple is kind of magic in this. Once you have the HomePod Mini or the HomePod talking to the internet and it's registered with your Apple account, all of a sudden when you're away from home and you're on a cellular connection, or you're just away from your home network, all of these lights will show you the same thing, because it's connecting through the internet, through Apple, and back to this iPod or Apple Pod, HomePod, pardon me. I get a little excited, but connecting back to your HomePod, and it's secure. So this is a real easy way to start doing this. They actually have outdoor receptacles, outdoor plugs that you can put. So if you want to control your outdoor Christmas lights, you have the ability to set up automations. An automation is just simply saying, hey, I want to turn my lights on at 6 o'clock at night, turn them off at midnight. You can get very creative. You can have it set to where it's so much time before sunrise or sunset. It's pretty much an endless thing. So it's kind of fun to fool with this stuff. And it's easy and it's not very expensive. And so if you have someone in your household or someone you're looking to buy a gift for, and they've got, they're using an iPhone, and you think that they would have an interest, $22 and you can get them started. It's kind of a bug though, because once they get started, they're going to probably get more. The light bulbs, they're kind of fun for kids' rooms because you can change colors. You can pull them up on your phone and you can change the colors of the light bulb from your phone. And again, you can set in your automation that you can have those bulbs come on. I have a friend of mine that is in our peer group, and his son is a special needs son, a special needs child. And he tries not to go in and wake him up just by shaking him and waking him up. And in fact, this gentleman is one who kind of introduced me to how easy home automation can be. And he was telling me a story, and the best thing that I've seen, when you talk about everybody likes to have fun, but gosh, think of a practical use. Now his son, now when he needs to get up at 6:30 so he can go to his job. And so Dave sets the light in his son's room to come on very, very dim and a very soft light. And then he also is playing some kind of an alarm that's real low. But as time passes over the minutes, the light gets increasingly brighter and the music just a little bit louder, and it brings him out of his sleep. And he said it's just a night and day difference when he wakes up that way versus if he's like startled awake or whatever. So there's some really good things that you can do with this type of technology. It's not just all for fun. So that gives you just a few examples. Those were 3 gift ideas that I thought would be kind of fun to chat about. So the next thing that we think about is, okay, where are we going to buy these and how are we going to buy them? So there's been something that I've seen kind of in a trend lately. And we've always talked, if you've been on any of our past webinars, I've talked a little bit about some of the challenges and some of the things that you can look at when you are visiting different websites. And of course, the big one is your merchant URLs, the address that you go to. Now, if you look to the right of the screen, up in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see 3 different URLs. They look innocent enough, right? Amazon.com, LL Bean, and Kohl's. So if you take a minute and look at that, you're going, well, that looks okay. And especially if you get an email or you get something that says, hey, here's the website you're going to. But here's what to be aware of. We're finding that some of these people are trying to put zero, they'll put a 0 in and then capitalize it because it doesn't show up very clearly. This is 2 capital I's for LL Bean. And then Kohl's has a 0. And then of course, always the big common one that we point out is that it doesn't have HTTPS. But even if you have HTTPS, that still doesn't mean that you can't have an issue because of these numbers. We've seen some banks and credit unions and some places that are examining their address, their domain name, and making sure, or trying to, the best they can, to ensure that they're not, they don't have a domain name out there that could easily be spoofed by just changing the case of a letter or putting a 1 instead of an L or an L instead of a 1, things like that. So if you have if you're responsible in your business for your domain name and things like that, double check it and make sure, because you don't want someone to impersonate your website to try to trick your customers into doing something bad, giving up credentials or for whatever reason that you could be impersonated for. Another thing you're going to want to watch for is special offers. And I've got an example of something that we came across that I want to point out, and I'm seeing more and more of this, especially as the holidays get closer. But the old adage that if it's too good to be true, that it probably is. You'll probably want to heed to that, because I think that there's a lot to be considered when you do that. Another is reading the fine print. We've seen a number of times where people have purchased something from a vendor and then they're told that you can only return it to the manufacturer. But then you contact the manufacturer, and the manufacturer says, well, whoever you bought it from was unauthorized to sell that. Where do you go from there? So you really want to be certain of who you're dealing with. Promotions on Facebook, especially when you get into Facebook Marketplace, it's a treasure trove for these criminals right now. But even before you get into the marketplace, as the holidays go, and as you've almost certainly experienced, that when you Google LL Bean, or you Google sweater and it gives you LL Bean as a place to visit, and you visit that website, well, guess what? Now all of a sudden you see all kinds of ads pop up for LL Bean when you do searches, or when you go to other commercial websites. If they're using Google ad engines, you're going to see more LL Bean ads pop up. Well, interestingly enough, Facebook also does the same thing. So now all of a sudden you're seeing LL Bean ads in Facebook. However, what also is happening is these advertisers are seeing the demographics and the data that is associated with you. And so now they're able to put their own sweaters up. Sometimes they'll put in LL Bean type sweaters and LL Bean looking ads, but when you go to click through them, they take you somewhere else. This is where you want to be careful, is because when they start doing the redirects, that's where you're going to land on potentially harmful websites. That's one reason we are still pretty adamant about at least having some rules and policies set within your office for online shopping, because when we're at work and we want to do online shopping, we're trying to do it fast because we know we're either doing it on our break or we've been allowed to have a little bit more freedom to do that. But then they get in a hurry, and so it's very easily to land on the wrong place. So make sure that if you're seeing an ad, I do this a lot. If I see a sweater that I like, or a shirt or whatever, and I see the website, I'll copy the URL and go into another browser window and paste it in there to make sure that it's the same one before I press enter, just to be on the safe side. I have discovered a few places where even my home firewall has blocked things because it said it was a bad site. So take a little extra time, copy that web page or manually type it in. Another thing that you're going to watch, we're going to start getting blasted with holiday emails this year, especially. We're seeing news articles that there's not going to be as Black Friday has already begun, folks. It probably started in September. So a couple of the places that I shop, I bet you I get 1 or 2 emails a day. But you want to be careful, because there's going to be the bad guys out there. They're going to be sending similar kind of emails with these incredible special offers, and the links in those are a very big potential for hazard. So the last one that I want to talk about, I'm going to take just a little bit more time on, is Facebook Marketplace, because that's, a lot of people are trying to do what they can to save money. And they figure I can find someone and I can go pick up whatever this item is for sale. And I want to do something big this year, because we've been cooped up. We'd like to be able to make a purchase. And so I found this interesting, and this is actually an add-on to this presentation because I stumbled across it one evening. But I was looking at Facebook Marketplace, and I saw an ad for a John Deere Gator. Now it's a 2013, so yeah, it's 7 years old, but it was $1,800, driven 55 miles. And I'm like, no way. And so I got curious, because I don't really like criminals that much. And, I'm looking at the description, and boy, it's convincing, 55 hours, power dump bed. It's a 6x6, clean, one owner. Even has a dealership information, Joe's page. I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. Then I also saw that, remember me talking about earlier that, there's even a website for it. And I'm like, God, these guys really are legit. Now I'm curious, like, what's the catch here? Because this has got to be a scam. So, the three tipping points, 1,855 miles, and it's a dealership, but it's a picture out in the country. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, we've seen other ATVs and utility vehicles pictured that way. So I did a little more digging and I went to Joe's page. Well, Joe's page was really telling, because I went to Joe's reviews, and first and foremost, another scam. Facebook isn't taking it down. People are crooks, scam, don't fall for this idiot. But they don't do this for the fun of it. They have people that they're actually convincing. I went to the website. I went to this vehicle website right here. Whoops. And this was, sorry, folks, my mouse is not behaving. And this is the website. Even more pictures. It shows me more pictures. It looks like it's the $1,800 firm. You're not going to get them to go any lower. And we even have a nice handy email address. And I should have blown this up, but the email address is .army. So now you're thinking, well, I wonder how this guy's got a .army. Well, anybody can get a .army domain. But I still think they're trying to prey on people going, well, this must be like a retired military, or maybe someone's passed away and it's an estate. I mean, they want you to make all the assumptions in the world to fall for this kind of tricks. The people that I worry about are the elderly and the people who are just, man, I'm desperate to get a good deal. This has got to be a good deal. And if they get somebody on the phone and they have a very convincing story, then there's certainly going to be someone who's going to probably come up short in money. They don't do this for the fun of it. They're out there trolling for their next victim. So if you allow online shopping in your office, here's a couple things that we would suggest you do. And the first one used to be a little bit more, we would almost insist on it, simply because there was really no other way for people to get this accomplished. But we would suggest that you have a computer that's in your office that's only has internet access, but cannot connect or touch the rest of your network. So it would be plugged into your router, or there would be a separate VLAN. We would have to do some programming. But the bottom line is that there's no way that information can pass from here over to here or vice versa. That's the number one. The best way is just to not allow online shopping at work. But in our today, we know that's not practical, and to keep our staff and our employees happy and take the stress off of them, we need to do it. So we just need to take the precautions. Another thing that I would suggest is a lot of your folks will either have tablets or their own laptops or their own mobile devices. Block a time. Say, you know what? You guys got some online shopping to do. Here's 30 minutes, or an hour, or whatever you deem is appropriate or necessary, and allow those people to use that. Still emphasize to them that please don't use your business email address for online shopping. That's the biggest way that phishing is going to occur, is people falling prey to the bogus your product is shipped, or there's been a delay in your shipment. So we want to make sure that everybody practices that safe, kind of a safe harbor, if you will, that they can get their work done, but they're still able to be attentive to proper security. So how are we doing? Is there any questions? I really kind of been just rolling along. I've been watching my chat and I haven't really seen any questions pop up. Does anybody have any questions on what we're doing? All right. Well, I guess Courtney, you're watching for pop-ups and things. So, we're kind of wrapping this up because I know everybody is really starting to hit the busy time of year. I understand that we didn't send out gift cards this webinar, but I did want to do something else for everyone before we wrap up. Is that everyone who attended today is going to have a special gift. As everyone, or as most of you may know, Lam Tech has been a long time supporter of the Arrow Rock Lyceum. And in fact, Lam Tech is the sole presenting sponsor. We basically sponsored the beginning of a Christmas Carol at the Lyceum Theater. Unfortunately, due to the circumstances this year, the production has not been able to occur, and the theater is closed right now. However, to try to keep the spirit of things going, Quinn Gresham and everyone at the Lyceum has created a new version that's going to be short. I'll play you a little clip so you can hear. I'm going to make sure that we get some volume or some sound coming through to you. So give me 1 second and share computer sound. And let's get this guy to play. Huh. So that gives you just a tiny little glimpse. What we're going to do is this is a virtual event that's going to be at 7 o'clock at night, Tuesday and Wednesday, December 22nd and 23rd. For attending today, you will get an email from Lam Tech, most likely Tuesday morning. We're waiting to get the link to the event because it's a private link. And we're going to email that to you. And then you will be able to follow that link. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten word if that's going to come through Vimeo or if it's going to be a YouTube link, but it's going to be streamed live. So you'll be able to watch this. If you want to hook your computer up to your TV, there probably are going to be some additional instructions, but that's our thank you to you and a happy holiday gift for attending. And you'll be able to watch this with your family. Then, as a final gift, as a grand prize, one of you lucky attendees are going to get a, going to get 3 scented candles from a company called Fiddlehead out of Brooklyn, New York. And they've made some special candles that are going to have a Christmas type fragrance to them. They're 100% soy wax, so hopefully they won't cause you any problems from a respiratory. But we wanted to just tell you thanks. We really appreciate you guys, not only your business, but your friendship. And we want everyone to have a very safe and happy beginning to the holidays. And I think that we want everyone to remember one thing: think before you click. So we've got a lot of extra time here. If you want to open it up for some questions, we can even turn some microphones on. if you have any questions, or if you need to go and move about your day, that's understandable as well.
Rob, we do have one question that came in here.
Yeah.
One's a comment and then one's a question. First off, they say, thanks so much for the virtual Christmas Carol link. And they say that that's awesome. Thanks so much, Rob. But their question is, and I think this is a lot of times that people run into things, is that when they get scammed, they lose their money. And they want to know, does anyone have a story that they have been scammed for money and they were able to get their money back?
Unfortunately, I have not heard of anyone who's been able to get their money back, at least from the scammer. Now, depending on the nature of the crime and whether it's a credit card or, a fraudulent withdrawal from the bank, I know that depending on circumstances, most banks will work and try to either restore those funds. But I haven't heard of anything specifically. Everything's really been in generalities. And that's why this is so scary, is that rarely do these people actually get caught. Because there's no physical presence for anyone to really go after them, and it's all through digital airwaves. Okay.
Well, I hope that answered the question. We'll see if there's any other questions that comes up. They do say thanks.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for that bit of good news. I guess I am the Grinch in that regard. Yeah, I mean, we have heard, I mean, when you start getting up into like commercial, businesses that have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, that gets the FBI involved and everything. But unfortunately, when you start getting into these ones where, we've talked in the past about the grandparent scam, where they're trying to trick people into sending them $1,000, or the phishing scams where somebody's going to send the Apple gift cards or Google cards. I would say it's going to be very rare that you're going to be able to recover that, because it happens so quickly. Once those cards are purchased, the money spent. Once those cards have the pictures of the codes sent to the criminal, you can bet that criminal's sitting there waiting for those numbers so he can quickly convert those. Once they're converted, there's really very little, if any, recourse to try to track that down and retrieve those funds. So does anybody have a gift that they've been thinking about getting that's real techie that we can add into this mix? I'm curious, because a lot of us have spent a lot of extra time surfing the web and planning for Christmas. I'd be interested to hear who's got some gifts that they've either bought or gonna buy. I mean, drones, cameras, what have you. What does anybody want to throw anything out there and join me in being a presenter? Okay, Doug, I'm going to have to get a sound of crickets. I'm going to have to get one of those like the podcasters use, that I can set and make cricket sounds.
I tell you what, maybe I'll spur a little bit of a conversation, just because I know that a lot of people have asked me questions about, and you kind of alluded to it, but things like Ring.
Mm-hmm.
What are things that you need to watch for, like, purchasing not necessarily that specific product, but maybe going to a third-party website, you see that they got a great deal, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you went to the wrong website. What should be the order of what people should do in that circumstance? And then also, when they get it correctly from the website they're supposed to be correctly, what are some things you need to watch for when you're putting it onto your network?
Sure. Well, things like Ring, and Ring's kind of like the popular one. They became popular kind of like Zoom did for video conferencing. But the thing about these cameras, think about their function for a minute. Now they're going to put this on, you're going to hang this at your front door. And gosh, you see all these videos of all the crooks and the porch pirates that have been caught on film, and the funny ones where people slip and fall on the ice and that, and that's all great. But what a lot of people don't realize is that those videos are actually uploaded to Ring web servers or Ring's servers, or they're uploaded, if you buy another company that maybe you don't really know a lot about, they're getting uploaded. A lot of these companies are in China, and they're getting uploaded to servers in China, which, who probably cares if somebody sees, somebody in China sees me fall down the steps. But the big takeaway here that nobody is really seeing is that camera is making a network connection from your house to China or to Ring or to wherever, because that's the only way that your phone that then connects with that Ring app can connect to that server to see that video. A lot of people think in points of A and B. A is my phone, B is my camera, or vice versa, and that's how it connects. That's really not it at all. It goes A to B to C. B is that server up in that cloud. I did air quotes too. I think I'm talking to people, the cloud. And so consequently, that connection is going outside of your personal network, which for the most part, it's safe, but you want to make sure you've got good passwords on those. You want to make sure the passwords that are on those are not passwords you use anywhere else. That's the big key. Another thing that a lot of people, and I can share personal experience with my sister, who's not super technical, but does really pretty good. She bought a Ring camera and then fussed about the fact that it didn't work real well. She's got wireless and she's got a wireless internet connection. Well, one thing that she didn't know, and it's not really well talked about, is that because what is this camera doing? It's uploading the video to that server. Well, if you've got a very slow internet connection as far as upload is concerned, when you pick up your phone to look at that video, it's going to be really slow. It's going to be almost frame by frame or jittery and everything. And the performance is going to be bad. And so then automatically people are going, well, this camera is a piece of junk. They've sold me something that won't work. Well, once again, we talk a lot about using the right products for the right job. And if you don't have an internet connection that will support it, then chances are you're going to be disappointed. So that's kind of my word of caution on like doorbell cameras. The same thing can happen too when you have these little cameras that you can disperse around your house wirelessly, and you can look at them on your phone, and they're real easy to set up. Those again are cameras, depending on what vendor, what manufacturer they are. There's a very good chance that your images in that connection is being established through some kind of a connection that's out of the country. So you just want to watch for that.
Well, so far, no other questions, Rob.
Well, I did see someone pop up that they're getting an Apple Watch, and they're cool. I mean, I have one and I've used it, basically as just a wrist piece. I really like watches, and sometimes I look at the watches that I have on my shelf going, gosh, I'd really like to wear that, but I'm also kind of spoiled and like getting emails and things on my phones. And now with our two-factor authentication and the services that we use for that here at work and that I use personally, it's fun because when I go in and open up Chrome and type in my master password, my phone dings and says, is this really you trying to get in? If it is, click approve, and I click approve, and then all of a sudden my passwords are available to me. So there's a lot of functions that you can get on your watch that you normally can't. So yeah, smartwatches are kind of fun. And one thing that I discovered that my wife, when she bought my watch for me for Christmas, she purchased it with the cellular connection. And I discovered I really didn't need that. It's not like I'm going to sit without and half the time when you don't have your cell phone, you probably don't have a good enough cell phone connection to actually send and make and receive calls on your watch either. Not to mention that, AT&T and most providers are going to charge you about an extra $10 to $12 a month for the phone number on that watch. And so I was happy to at least discontinue that. So that would be my word of advice on Apple Watches. Well, Doug, it looks like we were able to stretch this out. Gosh, we were able to drown out the crickets for a while. But I want to tell everybody thanks. I'm going to let Doug wrap things up, but I did want to tell everyone thanks. Everyone at LambTech certainly wants you to have a safe holiday season. I won't be the first one to say the happy 2 words that we always do when it comes after Thanksgiving. We'll save that for another time. But have a great holiday season. Doug, thanks again. I'm going to turn this back over to you and let you wrap things up. Okay.
All right, Rob. Well, we appreciate your time today learning about shopping online for the holidays with our owner and CEO, Robert Lamb. While today dealt more with personal stuff, it also dealt with your business. And if you have questions on how what you learned today pertains to your agreement, feel free to give us a call after the webinar. If you're wanting to learn more about LambTech in general, as well as our offerings, you can call me direct, 660-851-7342. Please remember, we'll provide you with a link to this webinar. Invite you to also view our previous webinars online at lambtech.com. Thanks for your time again. And again, on behalf of LambTech, happy holidays ahead. And I hope you have a fantastic day.